Hey everyone, we all know Terraform and Ansible are two most popular infrastructure as code tool in the DevOps market today. Terraform is a tool by HashiCorp which lets you create or provision cloud infrastructures like servers, storage, databases, networking, and everything required for your application to work. After you create this infrastructure, you need to configure them to run your application. But it is not recommended to use Terraform to configure application. We should be using configuration management tools such as Ansible. So Ansible is a very popular configuration management tool by Red Hat using which you can configure your servers, which means installing applications, managing services, deploying your applications, and lot more. Both of these tools are amazing and they are used together to create automated solution. But here's the problem. These tools are often managed by two different separate teams, the infrastructure team and the configuration team. Infrastructure team is responsible to write Terraform code and create infrastructure. The configuration team comes after it and runs Ansible playbook on the infrastructure created. This creates gaps, break things, and also take time for deployment. You might also have a compliance requirement where you want to follow a policy or you want to implement RBAC to control access. So what if I tell you we can automate everything with all these features, and that's where Spacelift comes in. So what is Spacelift? Spacelift is an infrastructure orchestrator tool that you can use to automate the provision of infrastructure using different tools like Terraform, OpenTofu, and CloudFormation. You can also use Spacelift to configure your applications and run Ansible playbooks on your infrastructure. But not just this, Spacelift also provides you with features to manage policies, approvals, and much more. It's like a CICD platform built specifically for infrastructure. Using Spacelift, you can connect to your Git repository and fetch all the latest infrastructure code, which you can use for application deployment or creating infrastructure using all the popular tools including Terraform, OpenTofu, TerraGrant, Pulumi, CloudFormation, etc. You can also use Spacelift to run Ansible playbooks on your infrastructure, manage access, connect with different cloud providers, security, and lot more. Very soon, I will show you a hands-on demo where we will be using Spacelift to create infrastructure using Terraform and also running Ansible playbooks on that infrastructure, all in automated single pipeline. This video is sponsored by Spacelift, and if you want to try out Spacelift, you can check out their plans here. In this demo, we will be using the free plan, and you can also use the same plan to follow along in the demo. But if you wish to use Spacelift in your company, you can look out different plans here and also compare them by looking at the different options or features provided. Alright, now that you understood what Spacelift is, let's get into the demo and learn how you can set up an automated pipeline to work along with Terraform and Ansible. In this demo, we will use Spacelift to create an automated pipeline which creates infrastructure on AWS cloud using Terraform and also run Ansible playbook on that infrastructure, everything automated. If you are a DevOps engineer, I would highly recommend you to try this along with me because this is something you will do every day as a DevOps engineer. So make sure you follow along and let's get into the demo. Alright, to get started with this demo, you will need to have a Spacelift account created. And you can create a Spacelift account using the link in the video description or by simply clicking on this free trial button on the Spacelift website. You can create a Spacelift account using your GitHub credentials, GitLab, Google, Microsoft, etc. I already have my Spacelift account created, so I'm going to go ahead and simply log into it. So this is what you get when you create a Spacelift account. Right now we don't have any stacks in our Spacelift account, and we will be creating two stacks, one for Terraform and one for running Ansible playbook. Using Spacelift, we will integrate the Terraform and Ansible stack so that we can run them together in a single run. For this demo, I'm going to be using this GitHub repository, and the link for this repository is in this video description. Inside this repository, we have two folders, one for Terraform and another one for Ansible. In this Terraform folder, we have the main.tf, which is creating a private key that is going to be used by the EC2 instance. It's also creating VPC, internet gateway, route table, etc. to create that EC2 instance inside. And on this instance, we want to run a playbook, which is going to be an Ansible playbook that is going to install Apache web server. And after it is installed, it will show a message saying, "Hello from Ansible deployed via Spacelift." So by the end of this demo, we want to have an instance created and also a playbook running on it, which should show this message when we paste the IP address on the browser, because this instance also has port 80 already enabled. So when we paste the IP address of this instance, the message will be shown. Along with this, I have some outputs created for the public IP address and also to get the key SSM parameter. You can follow through this demo and learn how you can use Spacelift to integrate Terraform and Ansible. For now, let's go click on stacks and create a stack. I'm going to name this as Terraform. And this is going to be in the root space. No need to add any labels. Let's click on continue. If you wish, you can also add description here, but for now I'm going to click on continue. As we already know, Spacelift supports multiple source providers, and you can also connect to your GitHub repository. So I'm going to connect to my GitHub repository, which is the Spacelift Demo, and here the branch is main. The project root is where the code is stored. So the code is stored inside the Terraform folder. So I'm going to type Terraform here. Click on continue. Spacelift supports different infrastructure tools such as OpenTofu, Terraform, Pulumi, CloudFormation, Kubernetes, TerraGrant, Ansible. For now, we want to create infrastructure using Terraform, so I'm going to select this and then choose Terraform here. You can also specify what version you want to use and also other settings here where you can manage state externally or import existing state file. Let's click on create and continue. On this page here, you can add more features to your stack, which could be defining your stack behavior, adding commands as pre-hooks or after hooks. You can also connect to your cloud provider, attach policies and attach context. We are going to be deploying our applications on AWS, so we do need to attach a cloud provider. So when we click on this, right now we don't have any cloud integration, and after the stack is created, I'm going to show you how you can integrate any cloud, which could be AWS, Azure or GCP. Throughout this demo, if you're stuck at any point, you can obviously use the official Spacelift documentation. They have great documentation which includes all the steps and things that will help you complete this demo. Although you can always follow the video to do it along with me. For now, let's click on continue. We don't need to have any policies here, but policies can be used to control various decision points throughout your workflow, which could be defining what happens when a PR is open, what happens when something is created, what happens when you receive a notification, etc. All things can be defined inside a policy, and you can review this. For now, everything is okay. All we need is to attach a cloud integration, which I'm going to do now. So let's click on confirm option here, and the stack is now created. If I try to run this stack now, it will give me an error saying the cloud is not connected. That's why we need to first go ahead and integrate the cloud, which is option here, cloud integrations. If I try to trigger this or run this, very soon I will get an error which will be that the AWS is not connected. And you can connect your AWS either using this cloud integration option here, or you can also add your AWS access keys or secret access keys in the environment variable option. Let me show you. You can click on environment option here and click on add variable. You can add your AWS access key or secret access key by creating them in the AWS console. Another option is to use IAM roles. So you can see the Terraform stack has failed, and you can also check the logs for it. So this is the failed job. When I click on this, you can see it says no valid credentials, which is expected because we haven't connected our account yet. So let's click on cloud integration option here and then click on setup integration. We will be using AWS cloud, so I'm choosing on AWS cloud, and let's name this as cloud. For now, we need to enter a role ARN, and we can get this role ARN created after we paste this trust policy. So I'm going to copy this and go to my AWS account. In your AWS account, go to the IAM service and create an IAM role. So I'm going to click on role option here and then click on create role button. So right now we are going to be creating a role for a third-party application. So I'm going to select custom trust policy. All this information is already present on the Spacelift documentation, Spacelift cloud integration documentation, and you can see either you can create environment variables or create a role using trust policy. So here we have all the steps where they're asking you to paste the trust policy that you get from the dashboard here. So I'm going to copy this trust policy and go to my IAM again. When I click on create role option, select custom trust policy and paste the trust policy here. So this is my trust policy, which includes my external ID and also this principal here. Let's click on next. You can choose to give any access you want. If you are specifically working on EC2, you can give EC2 full access. But to make things easier, I'm going to choose administrator access and then click on next. Now I'm going to name this. So let's name this as Spacelift Demo. And you can add description if you want. I'm going to click on create role, and now this role is created. Once this role is created, you can simply go ahead and copy this ARN. So this ARN is required here in our cloud integration section. I'm going to paste it here, and then you can choose to change the duration if you want. For now, I'm going to click on setup, and my AWS integration was successfully created. So for my stack to start using it, you can also customize or edit your created stack. You click on this three dots here and then click on settings. Go to integrations, add cloud integration or attach cloud integration, and select this. I'm going to give read and write access and click on attach option here. Once it is done, let's try and rerun this stack. So I'm going to go ahead and click on trigger option here. So right now we are only creating a stack for Terraform, but we also need to create a stack for Ansible and then connect them together to make it run using a single run in Spacelift. So Spacelift is a great tool that you can use to create infrastructure on Terraform, Pulumi, CloudFormation. We have seen all the different tools that is supported. You can also attach policies, you can add context, you can add webhooks, source code, cloud integration. There are so many different features that you get. This is in planning phase right now, and you can check the logs for every stage. Right now in this planning stage, it says 10 things are going to be created. For now, if I go to my AWS, right now I don't have any instance here. Alright, it says apply has been completed, and it also gives you the output here with the IP address of the instance. If I go back here, click on refresh, you will see an instance has been created. This is an Ubuntu instance with the security group attached, which has port 22 and 80 open. Perfect. This is what we actually wanted according to the code present in our GitHub repository. So Spacelift can get the code from the GitHub repository, and if you have any changes made, you can also sync it. Anytime you make a change, you can go back to this and click on the sync option, which will sync to your latest commit. Let's go and create a stack for Ansible. So I'm going to click on create stack and choose the name Ansible. No need to add any labels or description if you want. And then select the repository. This is the repository, which is the main branch, and all the code for Ansible is present in the Ansible folder. Let's click on continue option. We are going to be using Ansible, so I select Ansible here, and let's name the playbook. So the playbook name is playbook.yml, which is this playbook here that is going to install Apache web server and also put this custom message. So the name of the playbook is playbook.yml. Make sure you enter the correct name that you want to run. So I'm going to say playbook.yml and then click on create and continue. We also need to attach a cloud because we won't be deploying or running this playbook on the instance that is inside AWS cloud. So I need to attach my cloud or give it access. Along with this, I'm also going to do some more configurations using the hooks here, which I will show you very soon. Before I do that, let me explain you the Terraform code quickly. So in this Terraform code, I'm going to be using a key pair. I'm creating a key pair here, and the key pair is stored in AWS SSM parameter. So I want to fetch this key pair from the SSM parameter into my Spacelift stack so that it can be used to run the Ansible playbook, because Ansible uses SSH to run playbooks on any remote machine. Before I do any configuration, if I click on trigger option here, I will obviously get a failure on this stack because I don't have any key pair and the Ansible stack does not know where to run it. Although the Terraform stack is created, it is not connected, so it does not know which IP address to run it on. So you will see very soon I will get an error on this Ansible stack, and we need to configure some things here. So to configure things or to run command on this stack, you can click on hooks option here. You have hooks at different level, which could be initialization, planning, applying, destroying, performing, etc, etc. These are all the commands that I'm going to add. Let me quickly explain the commands. Here I'm setting the permission for the Ansible directory, also setting my Ansible configuration to this path here as an environment variable, creating a workspace, and then creating an inventory which will include a Spacelift input instance IP. For this to work, we need to create an environment variable that gets the output from my EC2 instance here that we have defined, and then store it in the Ansible stack with the name Spacelift input IPs, which will be stored inside inventory file that will be used by Ansible to run the playbook on. So once we have this inventory created, I'm fetching the key from the SSM parameter and then doing this configuration for Ansible, which will make my Ansible playbook run. So I'm going to click on save option here. So for this to actually work, we need to have Spacelift input instance IPs as an environment variable created. But this environment variable value is present inside the Terraform stack. So we need to create a dependency between these two stacks. And you can create dependencies by going to this dependency section. So this Ansible stack is dependent on Terraform stack, which means the first Terraform stack is going to run and then Ansible stack is going to run. So I'm going to click on add dependencies and choose this option here, click on add again. Now we also need an output, which is the instance IP address. So click on this add output reference and then select public IP. For the input name, we are going to be using the same name, which is Spacelift input instance IPs, because this is the name I have used inside the hooks or the commands. So I'm going to click on add option now, and we are ready to run the playbook. So previously you can see it has finished. When I click on this, it did finish but does not run playbook because it does not know which host to run the playbook on. Now that we have configured everything and we have inventory, Ansible config, the key pair as well, we should be able to run this playbook. So I'm going to click on trigger option now, and this will fetch the IP address from the Terraform stack and use it in the Ansible stack here. After waiting for some time, you can see the playbook has ran and it gives an output saying OK equal to 6, change equal to 3, unreachable 0, failed 0, ignored 0, etc, etc. So now to confirm this, I'm going to copy the IP address and open a new tab. If everything has worked properly and Spacelift has integrated Terraform with Ansible, it should create this EC2 instance and also run the playbook to install Apache web server and show a message which we want, which is hello from Ansible deployed on Spacelift. Which means Spacelift has successfully integrated Terraform and Ansible, the two powerful infrastructure as code tool. Along with this, if you want to know more about your stacks, as I told you, you can check out the metrics page here and get more information about how many resources are created, what stacks have been successfully completed, not, etc. And you get more features when you get the enterprise or business plan on Spacelift. Alright, so this was our video. I hope you have now learned how to use Spacelift to integrate Terraform with Ansible and use them together. If you have any questions, any doubt, do let me know in the comment section, and do check out Spacelift. The link is in the description. Thank you and have a good day.